What's up guys, it's Pride here, and today I want to talk about Sasuke Uchiha and how he's not out of the game yet. See, there's still hope for him, though it is a small chance of it happening. To better back up my reasonings for why I say all this, I first have to talk about Sasuke's power set and briefly go over the Sharingan and Rinnegan powers, so we're all clear on what he's lost, what he has, and what he can hope to get back. Oh, before I go on, while I have you guys paused here, you guys should like the video and subscribe. I'll very much appreciate it. Alright, with that out of the way, it's time to talk about Sasuke, the one-eyed Uchiha. So first off, we're going to start with Sasuke's Sharingan. Even before he had his Mangekyou powers, Sasuke's Sharingan allowed him to see chakra and copy jutsus and movement. Now, this is the basics for all Sharingan users. However, for Sasuke, he was able to advance this so much, but by the time he got his Eternal Mangekyou Sharingan, or EMS for short, he was able to have a passive ability with it that allowed him to react and match people who are either faster than him or plainly more skilled than him. People such as Madara, Ishiki, and Jigen. Madara notes this when he's fighting Sasuke because he notes that Sasuke is moving just as well as him. Sasuke's left eye has Amaterasu, which Amaterasu first came out of Sasuke's eye when he saw Obito for the first time because Itachi gave it to him as a one-shot to pretty much try to kill Obito. It failed and the eye went away, but Sasuke developed his own Mangekyou Sharingan and in the same eye also developed Amaterasu. So Sasuke pretty much never lost it. In Sasuke's right eye, he has what I'm gonna call Blaze Release. This allows him to shape and control Amaterasu. Also, it lets him get rid of Amaterasu so that way it doesn't continuously burn everything in sight. For Amaterasu is said to be known to burn relentlessly for 7 days and 7 nights. It is a very powerful eye power. Later on, we see that Sasuke can use Amaterasu in both of his eyes, which is new because that didn't happen in Naruto. All he was able to do with his right eye was shape, control, and or get rid of Amaterasu. But now he can freely make Amaterasu in both eyes and he can control it with his right eye. This evolution of eye prowess means one of two things. Either A, he has advanced his right eye so much that he can now freely produce Amaterasu out of it, or B, and this is the one that I'm leaning towards, the creators knew that they were going to take his left eye, but they didn't want to also take away Amaterasu. So to let Sasuke keep Amaterasu, they made it known almost immediately that he can make it with his right eye now. Again, it can be either or. Now we move on to Sasuke's Rinnegan, which as I said before, is the left eye which Amaterasu originated from. Sasuke got the Rinnegan when he received the power of the 6 paths. However, his was different in more ways than one. First off, the first indicator that his Rinnegan was not the same as other users of it is that he still retained the tomos that is indicative to users of the Sharingan. Secondly, again, unlike other Rinnegan users, Sasuke is still able to use his Sharingan abilities in conjunction with his Rinnegan ones. This is good because whenever Madara wanted to use his Sharingan abilities, he had to deactivate his Rinnegan, something that Sasuke can't do. Well, he can't do fully. Whenever Sasuke uses too much chakra or just wants to power down, the tomos in his left eye goes away, indicating that he can't use his visual prowess anymore. Now, as far as the Rinnegan powers that Sasuke is able to produce, first off, he can swap places with pretty much any 2 objects or things, including himself and other people. And later on in Boruto, if he uses a huge amount of chakra, he can also just straight up teleport people to another dimensional plane from his plane of existence to another material plane of existence and vice versa. He apparently also has a passive ability where he can decipher codes, but that's not really important. However, his other passive abilities have helped out quite a bit. One being the fact that he can see invisible people, aka the Limbo clones, who existed on a sub-plane different from the material plane. They were still able to affect the material plane, but they didn't realistically exist on that plane, but he was able to see them. And the other passive is he's not wholly affected by powers that affect time, for he can still perceive everything that is happening when time has effectively stopped. You see it when Momoshiki talks to Boruto as he stops time everywhere around him, and only Boruto can see and interact with Momoshiki, but Sasuke can still see the interaction and still knows what's happening. It's not 100% sure if he can move or if he can expend chakra to allow himself to move in this stopped time, but it's still great. Now, I would love to talk about the other Rinnegan abilities, but seeing how he basically only used them on Naruto and maybe once or twice in Boruto, I'm going to pretend they don't exist because Sasuke seems to pretend they don't exist. And really, it doesn't matter because now in Boruto, Sasuke no longer has the Rinnegan at all, along with the Sharingan that was also in his left eye. With this being gone, we're not 100% sure what happens to his Susanoo. I can only surmise that his Susanoo was at least diminished in power, or you do have to have both sets of your eyes to utilize everything at full power. At least that's how the Dojutsus work mostly. Or even Obito, when he had one Rinnegan, and when Madara only had one Rinnegan, they weren't able to use all the powers of the Rinnegan. And more so in Madara's case, when he only had no eyes to one eye of his Rinnegan, when he did activate Susanoo, it wasn't the perfected Susanoo. It was still better than a Susanoo with no legs, but it still wasn't the all-powerful Destroy Mountain Susanoo that he displayed earlier in the war. Also, again, because Sasuke is now missing a whole eye, and he doesn't have a pair anymore, his Blaze release could be a lot harder to use. Not saying that he can't use it because he has the eye where it was super effective, and again, he can cast Amaterasu with that eye also, but I am saying it probably will cost him more chakra to use. During the war arc, Sasuke was an absolute beast with the Amaterasu. He was able to use both his eyes in conjunction with each other, make every single attack that he launched, even his sword and shurikens, and even Chidori, and made all of them into the most deadly weapon in Naruto. So losing his super versatile use of Blaze release or having it weakened and harder to use should be a huge drawback for him. Well, I say that it should be a huge drawback, but in reality, it's not. You see, Amaterasu has been useless or ineffective since Momoshiki arc started, and that's because every opponent that Sasuke needs to fight, aka people that random scrubs in the village or people like Konohamaru don't have a chance against, if Sasuke needs to fight these guys, almost every single one of them can either absorb Amaterasu, dodge Amaterasu, or just outright block it. And while his swap abilities was pretty clutch in a lot of scenarios, all it really did was help him dodge and help him set up Naruto for a tag team beatdown. Great for a team, but standing alone, he might as well just run away because that is not sustainable. And again, with all of these people that he's been fighting, they will outlast him in a war of attrition. Sure, they won't be able to hit him, but eventually he'll tire out and they'll just tag again if he's by himself. So as busted as Sasuke's left eye was in Naruto Shippuden, they're okay at best in Boruto. The real blow is literally only having one eye while fighting. I'm sure he can still track and predict people's movements passively, but having two eyes tracking people and predicting where they're going is always going to be better than having one eye doing it all by itself and trying to overcompensate for it. He used to be able to go toe to toe with the heavy hitters, but now I think he's going to be on the defensive a lot more often. There's still hope, however. You see, I think there's still a couple of things that can put Sasuke back up top, if only momentarily. The first and more permanent way is to get one of the clone kids to donate an eye, which will power him up and give him the ability to use telekinesis on metal objects and control them freely. He'll also upgrade his Susanoo, though to what degree and what the changes will be, still don't know, but it will do something for him. And now that I think about it, this is actually more useful than Amaterasu because every opponent that he's going to fight, if he does fight anymore, will still have the ability to absorb chakra. With these shurikens or any other bladed weapons like his sword, he doesn't have to worry about that anymore. Now, this method is unlikely because I don't think Sasuke would accept the transplant. Even if the kid offered it, I think Sasuke wouldn't even want the kids to live with half their potential. Any of them. Seeing how Sasuke is pretty much the ruling leader of the Uchiha, and he wants all the Uchiha to prosper and finally have happy, fulfilling lives. But there is a couple more methods. Another one, though this is also still unlikely, but for a different reason. Remember how Obito was able to pass on his eyes to Kakashi, making Kakashi rival Sage Path Naruto and Sasuke? Well, if plot intervenes, Itachi might do the same, seeing how Sasuke does have Itachi eyes. Itachi has proven that he can give away Sharingan powers, temporarily, but he did this while he was alive, and he did it more than once. So the possibility is there. I wouldn't be surprised if Sasuke got this in his moment of need right before he's about to go plus ultra and try to save everybody and reach out for extra power, and then Itachi shows up out of nowhere and it's like, yo, you can do this for the last time. Would not be surprised if that happened. That would require a lot of plot, but Boruto's kind of half plot, so I think it's par for the course. Now, seriously, there is one last thing, and this one is actually the most possible of it to happen, and it actually kind of makes more sense story-wise. I think Sasuke will gift EMS Eye to Sadara. She'll have Eternal Mangekyou Sharingan, so she won't go blind, at least in one eye. And she'll have her crazy Mangekyou Sharingan ability, whatever that's gonna be. Plus, there's a high likelihood of her still having Blaze release and Amaterasu, so she'll technically have 3 Sharingan abilities in just one eye, leaving her other eye to do literally whatever and not have to do any of the heavy lifting, so she would never have to really go blind in an eye until like she's super old. This, for me, makes the most sense because it would be the old generation officially passing on the torch to the new generation. At that point, would be no way that Sasuke can really intervene with any world-changing matters anymore. I think he'll prefer this because he'll be able to pass on Itachi's and his own will of fire to Sadara, and if she becomes Hokage, that'll be a dub for the Uchiha and a big FU to Tobirama. And that will be the true legacy of Sasuke Uchiha.